What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and from the San Francisco Chronicle, exclusive. Another company leaves San Francisco blaming the most onerous regulations in the world. So they're talking about these bird scooters that are pretty annoying. I think I used them maybe in D.C. or a bird-like scooter in Washington, D.C., so it comes in handy for a tourist, I suppose, but I don't know if the locals are really into it. I also know that at one point, scooters or city bikes or something like that across the bridge in Oakland were being thrown into Lake Merritt by locals, but that's a different story. If San Francisco City Hall had a department of the nonsensical, it would be a very robust agency touching all corners of local government. Okay, well, that's fair enough. It's funny to hear, I guess, the San Francisco Chronicle, which is not by any stretch of the imagination a common sense conservative publication. I mean, they kind of fly under the radar, but they are just as extremely far left nonsensical as the New York Times or any mainstream publication. So I guess they got somebody there with a little bit of sense who realizes that the overbearing government is causing businesses to leave. Now, if they don't want those businesses, if the people of San Francisco don't want those businesses, then fine, so be it. But they flip-flop all the time, right? They want to talk about how they're going to clean up this city and create new housing, but then a Starbucks moves in and they're mad about gentrification. So they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want it both ways, and it just doesn't really work like that. It would surely have a hand in the way the city treats its businesses. Over punitive fines, confusing regulations, lack of clear communication. The message that you're lucky to be doing business in San Francisco is the message that you're lucky to be doing business in San Francisco, so suck it up. Yeah, and it's like that old South Park episode where they love the smell of their own farts, right? Like, you should just be happy to be here, and we're so righteous and we're so tolerant. Of course, we all know that's not true. These are among the reasons cited as San Francisco learned it's losing another innovative company, this one focused on the crucial task of getting people out of their cars and onto other modes of transportation as climate change worsens and our streets feel like one huge traffic jam. So there you have it. This is not by any stretch of the imagination at all a conservative publication. They're talking about getting people out of their cars for climate change. Next thing you know, they're going to be just saying, eat the bugs, right? Bird, a scooter company permitted to operate 1,500 electric vehicles for rent in the city, is scooting out of town. It informed San Francisco Municipal Transit Agency, which manages the scooter program, that it's giving up on the notoriously bureaucratic city. I can't help but picture Bird executives scooting over the Golden Gate Bridge, flipping the bird at the city behind them. All right, whatever. Quote, it's difficult for us to justify operating in a city where we don't make money. Oh, well, and that makes sense, right? Because a city like San Francisco or a city like New York, they don't want you to make money. They want you to pay the government and just obey. They don't want you to be successful on your own. That's out of the discussion. That's not even on the table, that you can come in, create a successful business, and reap the benefits of that. No way. That's not going to happen. I mean, look what they did to cannabis, right? They love weed. Oh, everybody smokes weed all day. They take it from medical, which of course was a complete sham, to fully recreational, and they overregulate it to the point where cannabis clubs are going out of business because they can't pay the taxes and keep up with the regulations and the fees and all that stuff. This is what happens every single time with this, this heavy-handed bureaucracy. Maggie Hoffman, Bird's vice president of city growth and strategy, told me, adding that San Francisco's fines are 5 to 6 times higher than any other city in which Bird operates. San Francisco has the most onerous regulations and is the most difficult to operate in the hundreds of markets we operate in globally. And that makes sense too, because if you think about a traffic ticket in San Francisco, it's astronomical. It costs you $400 or $500 if you run a red light. It costs you $400 or $500 if you park in a loading zone. In any other city, it'd be maybe $200, right? It's just all an absolute money grab. Same thing in New York. Like I always say, they are reading from the exact same playbook. But it's also true, though, that Bird has experienced financial trouble over the past year, acknowledging it's overstated its revenue, laying off staff and pulling out some small and mid-sized cities around the world. But its complaints about San Francisco fines and regulations are certainly worth examination in the city known for making it too hard to do business. Makes sense. Jamie Parks, the director of SFMTA's Livable Streets program, which is nonsense, I'm sure, which runs projects to improve street and sidewalk safety, countered that the city's scooter fines and regulations make sense because San Francisco is such a dense city. He pointed out that other dense cities, including Boston, Toronto, Montreal, and much of New York City, have banned scooters entirely. Paris will vote in April. San Francisco, he says, is trying to make them work for everybody. No, he's not. They're bludgeoning them over the head. You're going to pay or you're going to leave. That's what's happening. You're going to pay us more money or you're going to leave. Bird countered that it operates fine in other dense places, including the Bronx, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Nashville. Even if you're not a scooter user and find them more annoying than appealing, Bird's departure should spark concern. It's just one more example of a city with a cratered out downtown. Yeah, people are leaving because not only is it unfriendly to businesses, but it's not friendly to people. They just want you to obey. I mean, you don't have a say, right? That's why, I mean, the only people left are incredible, and this is the same thing in New York. They hollow out the middle class just like they hollow out the middle ground of a discussion, right? So there is, if you're not with them, you're against them, and it's just polar opposites. If you're not filthy rich and living in the penthouse or in a mansion in Mountain View, then you're going to be a junkie shooting dope under the Bay Bridge. There's really no in between if they had it their way. This goes on and on and on. It's way too long, but yes. San Francisco, look at this. This is crazy. Who's going to read all this? About a scooter company leaving San Francisco because of the onerous regulations. And what's funny here is that there's another article from, I guess, this little blog called 48 Heels. And this is from an even further leftist, right? So the San Francisco Chronicle is comedically establishment left-wing newspaper. But this guy, and this we also saw this in another case when a LGBT barbecue, whatever, activist calls out the New York Times. So they always eat their own, right? If you don't obey every single talking point, then they point back at the establishment media and call them, spewing conservative talking points and neoliberal, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you don't obey all of our nonsense that clearly doesn't make sense, provably doesn't make sense, then you're the bad guy. So from 48 Hills, how the Chronicle creates misleading, inaccurate narratives that lead to bad public policy. And these are the people that just pretend, right? These are of course, the transformer activists and the climate change activists. They just pretend. They create their entire reality, this incredibly fake pseudoscience reality, and then force you to live by it and don't even entertain the idea that there's another opinion. It's like, oh, you don't buy it, then you are a far right-wing conspiracy nut job. And they wouldn't even consider for one moment that there's somebody out there that has a different opinion, even though they are very provably in the minority of these whack jobs. Or the whack jobs are in the minority of the opinion, or something like that. The poor scooter company that had to leave town turns out to be a bad civic actor, and a lot of folks are glad it's gone. So yeah, people didn't like it anyways because they don't like successful businesses. But it's funny how this guy writes, Tim Redman, the classic neoliberal chronicle reads like this, and then exclusive, another company leaves SF, blaming the most onerous regulations in the world. So this guy is mad at the Chronicle because they talk about the overbearing bureaucracy that San Francisco is. So it's just crazy to see that I might not like the Bird Scooter Company, but just not for any particular reason, that they're just kind of annoying and they take up space, right? Like, you see that clip of Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm knock a whole bunch of them down. It's just kind of a new wave thing that maybe people might not be ready for. It's nothing super serious, but on the far, hard, extreme left, they don't like it because it's a successful business, and they also don't like the Chronicle for saying that the overbearing bureaucracy of San Francisco is a problem for businesses. I mean, you just can't win with these people. No matter what you do, they are going to find a reason to get mad, right? Like you could come out and champion every single one of their things, but when they undoubtedly move the goalpost for one of their talking points and you don't move with them, they will sell you down the river. So, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.